2020 has been a really terrible year, and that's not really even a hot take. That's basically just a fact. And you'd think that, with quarantine and all that stuff, for as terrible as it is, hey, at least, you get more time to play video games and all that stuff, and, you could have a clear through a lot of your backlog, but not for me. For me, it just meant I got depressed. So that was, all that was going on there. So I still wanted to talk about the great games that I did play this year, however, and not just, because I played a lot of good games that didn't come out this year, like, Resident Evil 7. Love that game. Came out years ago, so it's not on the list. This is just the games that have come out this year that I played and I really enjoyed. And also, a couple things. First of all, just my opinion. You probably almost definitely had different games than me that you enjoyed playing more, so, let me know in the comments what you enjoyed, what you think were your favorites. Also, don't have a PS5 or an Xbox Series X. I am slightly broke, so I would not have the money to buy this. So anything on there, immediately ruled out. Also, as I said, there were a lot of great games that I didn't play this year. I mean, like, off the top of my head, Hades is one that, like, I've heard an insane amount of good stuff about. Have not played it. Probably would love it if I did play it, but, just didn't work out this year. So, yeah, with all that out of the way, what are the games that I did play? What are my favorite games out of 2020? And this isn't any major order. I just, what did I enjoy the most this year? In the wake of last year's killer remake of Resident Evil 2, this year we got to revisit the new version of Raccoon City with Jill and Carlos in the Resident Evil 3 remake, and it was amazing. Revisiting iconic spots like the police station, exploring more of the city than ever before, all with the great dynamic of Jill and Carlos trying to uncover and defeat the Umbrella Conspiracy, it's such a fun new recontextualization of this city. All this, and there's also the ever-pursuing threat of Nemesis who will stalk you down no matter what. It's so fun, especially, fighting all the hordes of zombies while Nemesis is tracking you down and having to escape both at once. So good. While it's one of the shorter Resident Evil games, it's just so fun to play, it'll keep you coming back. And I mean that literally. This may be my favorite game to play in the series because of just how good it feels. It takes the basics from RE2R but refines them and throws in Jill's new dodge mechanic, which when pulled off in a perfect dodge, is just about the most satisfying thing you can do, slowing down time to make your escape or turn it on the offensive. And even more so if you can chain multiple to escape a huge crowd at once. And there was, some controversy. Some people didn't like this, some people did. I think, while I would have loved more content and more stuff, I still think it's just such a good game, and it's really carried by, by its story and by the characters and just the phenomenal graphics and gameplay. It's just, mainly there's some timing issues, just length really is one of the major problems, but it's so fun, and it's way cheaper now than it was at release, so I'd say go pick it up yourself. Next up is Animal Crossing New Horizons, and while at some point with every Animal Crossing game I end up falling off from the daily routine, that kind of happened relatively quickly for New Horizons, it still gets a spot on here as one of my favorite games of 2020, even though it may be my least played out of all of these, just because of the sheer joy I got when it was first released. It was released on March 20th, which was right about when the start of quarantine happened, so things were pretty miserable. Just having this nice island to build up and, friendly villagers to spend the time with was such a much-needed experience and just, getaway for me. I was a big fan of having that, and just mentally it helped me out a lot. And there have been updates with different holidays and features, and while there are some serious criticisms to be made about the lack of full content, the drip-feeding of new things, unnecessary new roadblocks to the series, and multiple other problems, just running around and decorating my island with the relaxing music playing in the background, well, sometimes that's just enough for me. This past year, I started playing a lot more indie games, both new and old, but of course I had to play the newest entry to one of my favorite indie series, Shantae, and that's why Shantae and the Seven Sirens is on this list. When it first released, I just started playing it non-stop. It took the best of the Metroidvania-style design and mixed it with a large, interconnected world, classic and new gameplay, including the wonderful monster cards, and even brought animation into the series in some great ways. It's not the most experimental or wild of the Shantae series, but it's a fun and solid sequel that feels fun to play. It's always great to be back in the dancing half-genie shoes, and with magic and monsters galore, you'll have a good time here. And I think what really helps set Seven Sirens apart is just its art direction. It's so good and so fun, and the monster cards all have, very nice official art for them to show off the different designs. And dude, the animation, oh my god, the animation is killer. It's sparse, but when you see it, you are in for a treat. So it's all the Shantae goodness that you love, so I would go suggest picking it up. It's on, I think, like every major current console, and it's even on like Apple Arcade and stuff. So yeah, do yourself a treat and get this fun new indie platformer today. Puzzle games are one of my favorite genres because of how relaxing and endlessly replayable they are, and the new game Mixoloomi has slotted itself right up there amongst my favorites. This great indie game takes on a new angle for gameplay and uses physics to help rack up killer combos in a fun new take on the typical Tetris style. On top of that, there are multiple different modes that can help those who want faster or slower paced gameplay respectively. The style and aesthetics are also just killer here, with tons of different color palettes and songs that help change up the game each time you play. Plus, there's a robust community dedicated to adding in new songs and color palettes to the game that keep things consistently fresh. If you want to know more about Mixoloomi, I made a whole video on it when it released, so check it out if you want to know more. It's also, it's on itch, but it's also just recently got onto Steam. It's essentially like Tetris. It fills that gap for me, but like it's such a different styling of Tetris because you have to think about, the physics more so than just, dropping a piece down in the shape. You got to think about shape and physics. And so it's a whole new dynamic, and it's kind of hard at the beginning because you have to reprogram your game from the typical, trying to build out. But it's so good. And I'm a huge fan of it, and I can't wait to see what else comes with it. All right. Everybody already knows about my next game, and that's Among Us, which just shows how good it is. In a year where it's harder than ever to interact with people, playing a game based almost entirely on your interactions has been a joy. I love the dynamic of trying to balance solving tasks while staying alive and trying to find and vote out the imposter as crewmate, or trying to kill everyone while avoiding detection as imposter. Throw in some fun tasks that give crewmates the chance to win the day in a voting session where the real debate and game happens, and you can see why Among Us is so dang fun. Plus, there are so many ways to play. Some people are hardcore detectives and try to immediately discover everything. Others just finish their tasks. Some like to stay in groups, or you can choose to just cause chaos, which is generally what I do. I have a group of friends I play with constantly, and since most of them try to, go full-on detective Sherlock Holmes, I just destroy that. I cause pure chaos, and I just act as sus as possible, screw around the whole time, hardly even do my task. It's so fun. And at this point, some imposters don't even kill me. I just work with them. It's great, and just, I play by the rule of fun and the rule of funny, so I always end up winning, even if, the imposters win and I'm crewmate. It's great. Plus, it's a lot harder when it's not with a group of your friends. I think that is the best way to play. But playing online, it's obviously not perfect, but if you get a good group and a good lobby, it can be so fun just, talking with random people, kind of figuring out everybody's tells as you go along. It's just such a good game, and it's, built off those classic, Mafia and werewolf games, but I've always been a sucker for that. And just the, seeing how much everybody is glamored onto it, a game that's been out since, 2018, and it's, boosting in popularity now, seeing it take off like that, it's just, it's inspiring, but it makes me happy to see what the future of it is going to be. It seems like it's going to be one of the mainstays around, like other indie giants like, Minecraft and Spelunky. Like, it seems like it's going to be here for a while, and I, for one, am very excited about that. Oh, and yes, I know Among Us didn't come out this year, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, it came out this year, so I'm going to leave it on the list due to that technicality. The last game on the list is also the newest game, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. The Dynasty Warriors and Hyrule Warriors, and I guess Fire Emblem Warriors, I think was one, series has one goal, and that's to let you murder hundreds of enemies at a time. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity not only delivers on that, but also fills you into what happened before the calamity that led to Breath of the Wild. Getting to explore this amazing interpretation of Hyrule before it's destroyed is so fun, and the different gameplay styles and dynamics between all the different playable characters are so great. That's also reflected in the story, which is surprisingly really good, with a lot of fun character interactions, but also some legitimately intense and hype scenes. Plus, the gameplay is so tight, with each character playing so drastically different from one another, and having so many fun combos and attacks to sweep through giant waves, or just focus entirely on taking down one giant boss. You're going to have a good time doing it no matter what. And it almost makes me wish for a Castlevania-style show set in this era of Zelda, and I think, the voice actors kill it here, the animators kill it here, making this world and these characters feel alive. And so, I enjoyed Breath of the Wild, and I, liked them there, but even there, it was like, it was fun, but it just felt kind of like the new wave of, each Zelda game has, a couple characters that we talk about and enjoy until the next Zelda game. These now feel way more important, way more fun because of, because of their personalities, because of their voice, because of the life that they have. And so you can also see that reflected in their attacks, how they fight, in their interactions on the battlefield. It's, it's really fun. And I'm having a great time with Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Plus, getting this prequel, and potentially next year, probably not. I'm not going to get my hopes up, but hey, maybe, hopefully, the sequel to Breath of the Wild, where we could see, what was set up here, see it come back full circle, Breath of the Wild being the midpoint instead of the starting point. I just kind of love that idea and that dynamic. I also hope Nintendo, they haven't been doing a lot of great stuff, been doing a lot of DMCA recently, but hopefully they turn themselves around and start doing more, good business decisions like this. Like, Zelda has been having a banner year with Cadence of Hyrule as well being lent out to other companies and having other styles and great results. So I'd love to see that with some other series that they have. But either way, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is so good and so fun. And also I highly recommend playing on a higher difficulty because it raises those stakes and it makes it a lot more fun. And, you have to strategize and battle more and a little bit less mindless, because as much as I love that sometimes, it can wear on you when it's just pressing a button and wiping out waves. So yeah, play on a harder difficulty is my suggestion, and you're going to have a lot better time. Thank you for watching. Yeah, relatively short list. Again, there was not a whole lot of stuff that I played because of just everything going on in the world. It was a lot to handle, to say the least. But next year, things are already looking better, just in the state of the world in general, but also with video games. Because there's some droughts this year, but next year we've got so much good stuff to look forward to, Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 8, whatever you call it, new entry into the Resident Evil series. Love that. Friggin' Neo, The World Ends With You. What? Like, a sequel to The World Ends With You? If you didn't know, my profile picture is from The World Ends With You, it's the main character. So, I'm pretty dang excited about that one. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. That's going to be killer. There's just so much good stuff. Dude, and the potential for Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes, like, oh my god, dude. There's so much good stuff coming next year that I am very excited to see it. It's going to be great. But for this year, I'm happy with what we had. I'm sure there's a bunch of games that I'm going to be catching up on in the future and seeing how I enjoyed them. Yeah, 2020, it was really crappy year overall. But 2021, hopefully it's going to be a lot better. Thank you guys for sticking with it through me. But yeah, again, let me know what you guys thought were your favorite games of 2020, or let me know what you're looking forward to in terms of the new games coming out in 2021. So thank you. Please like this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you would like to see more videos like this in Countdown forums. And until next time, goodbye.